If you've been hearing about Claude Cowork and you have no idea where to start, I get it. There are hundreds of AI tools right now, and there's new ones every week. And honestly, even I find it overwhelming. But Cowork is different. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how to use it, step by step, starting from zero. There'll be no assumptions, just me and you, and the one AI tool I think every business owner, every student, every professional should know about in 2026. Before I show you anything, let me clear up one thing that confuses everyone, right? Cowork is not a chatbot. I know it looks like one, but the difference is this. A chatbot like ChatGPT waits for you to type something, it gives you an answer and then it does it. But Cowork, what I've discovered is it actually sits on your computer and it reads your files, it creates documents, it browses the web, and does real work on behalf of you. Think of it like this. If you're texting someone, it's like talking to a chatbot. The moment you hire someone who sits at your desk and does the actual work, that's co-work, and that's why they've named it co-work. Right, let me show you exactly what it looks like. I'm gonna say organize my screenshot folder. You now need to give it the folder here. Okay, screenshots. And I'm gonna say go. So this is my screenshots folder all the way down here. I'm not gonna ask Cowork to organize this. Can you see this? I didn't do anything. So Cowork went through my screenshots folder and it says I have 1,774 files there, and he can't visually inspect all of them, which is honest, right? So should he organize it by? He can actually do it. Well, for the benefit of the video, I'll not do this because it'll take forever. So I'm going to say group by date clusters, and then I'm going to say by event topic. So this is what I've asked it to do. And so it's actually doing work and is giving me its train of thought in and how it's doing it. Let me first understand the date distribution and then visually samples from to identify topics. Good. Then you can open here to see what it's saying. It says it's running a command. And why Cowork does what it does is because it can use tools. So what the difference between chatbot and Cowork is that Cowork has a tool that it uses. And here you can see that it's using those tools to what creates tasks and how it's going to actually do the work. So it's going to create the folder structure, moved named files to correct topic folders, move screen recordings into topic folders, and group generic screenshots by date clusters, do a sample visually. So it's actually going to view these files. You can now see that it has done the big job of moving generic things into their month folders, and it's accounted for and organized all 1,774 files, which is something I know I would leave on my to-do list forever, right? It hasn't sorted out the big one, but it's giving me a reason why. So if I go into 26, I can see. So this is my organized screenshots folder. You can see 2026, it's done a good job, and it's not sorted out April, and it's told me this is April. And same thing with 2025 okay? So this is just a snapshot of what's possible. Look at how we did in 3 minutes. So that was our first win. And I showed you the first one because it proves something important, that Cowork doesn't need complicated prompts. You just tell it what you want in plain English. And now we're going to move. Cowork doesn't just move farther around, right? It can create professional documents from scratch. And I don't mean a rough draft that you have to formatted, structured, ready to send document. Let me show you. So you type a very simple natural language prompt and Cowork will go off and it will do a thing. So now let's go into Cowork. So say you're a small business owner and you need a proposal for potential clients. Instead of spending 2 hours in Google Docs, you can tell Cowork exactly what you need. I'm going to put this prompt in here, which is really simple prompt. I've asked it to create me a consulting proposal of a potential client called Green Leaf Wellness. I've given it some context on how much money they make and what they're looking to do. And I've reminded it of my offer, which is AI audit and co-work training services. I've said my package is this amount, and then I've given it a task: create a professional proposal document that includes an executive summary, scope of work, timeline, pricing, and terms. Make it sound confident but warm, and I've asked it to use my brand design. So let's see. When I press enter, and immediately you see that Cowork would look through the instructions and it starts building structure, thinking about how it's going to write the copy, thinking about how it's going to format it. And notice, I'm not getting a word of text back. When you're working with chat, it starts to give you the proposal in a chat box. But now it's going to use a tool called Ask User Questions. So you can nail down a few details before it starts working on the proposal, which makes a lot of sense. So C is asking me, what is the primary contact name and title? I'll just say use generic. What format do I want it? I'll say Word document. And then what is the proposal and engagement? I'll say 3 months. Which services should it cover? I'll say AI audit and co-work training. So it's using the information I've given it to do the work, and it's responded to say, yes, I've seen what you're saying. It's a generic addressee, it's a Word document, it's 3 months at this amount. It covers both of these offers. So we open up here and you can see that it's loading some tools. Now, one of those tools is a structured document skill. So how it's going to create the Word document is using a skill for creating Word document. Now, we can see the to-do list. It is writing proposal script. It is going to generate and validate the doc file, and it's going to verify from the document with me. Now it's telling me, okay, good. Docx is installed, which is Word document file format. And now it's actually writing the file. So you can always have a peep and see what it's doing by opening the drop down. And can you see I was working? It's actually saving it in my computer here and it's updating its progress on its task list. So it's done the presidential script. It has validated the docx file, and now it's verifying the document. I can see it's saving into my local folder. It has created 5 tools, and it's actually here in the working folder. I won't click on it here until it's ready because you can see the root on my desktop. According to it, proposal looks sharp. I'll be doing that. And it's giving me a summary of what is done, brand colors. So now let's have a look. View proposal. You can view it on the side here. This was done with Cowork. Let's take it and look at it. This is something that would have taken me hours to do, right? Look at this. This is on my colors, my brand design is done. How many pages is this? It's given a scope of work, the phase 1, what I'm going to do, which is do an AI audit. I'm going to look at the operational assessment, competitive AI landscape, and ROI matrix. Then phase 2 is the co-work training. And look how it's used my brand colors to work out the timeline, the pricing, and the total engagement for 3 months. So I said 9,500 per month, and in 3 months that was 28,000. So it's even done that calculation for me. It looked at our approach, the engagement terms, and it says if you're ready to get started, and it's taking out some of my contact details and it's added it in here. This, again, I can add it to my Google Drive, and you can open it in Google and then you can edit it. So here's the thing that matters. This is a real document that I showed you. You open it, tweak a few lines, and then you make it yours, and then you send it. You're not starting from a blank page ever, right? So now I'm going to show you where it gets real. Now, everything I've shown you so far, Cowork is working with your files on your computer. But the next part is what turns it from a useful tool into what actually runs part of your business. When it speaks to other systems in your business, your personal life, or in your schoolwork. Cowork connects to the tools that you already use by way of something called connectors. Google Drive, Notion, Slack, Gmail, Blotato, which is a social media scheduling tool. A lot of tools now have connectors to Cowork. It can now go into those tools and do something like create, read, update, or delete. So Cowork sees everything when you connect it to a tool. So let me show you an example. I've connected here an app called Blotato, right? I'm going to ask Cowork to use Blotato, which is an app connected to my Cowork, and go do something. So this is the prompt I'm going to use. I've said, check my Blotato account and tell me what I have scheduled for this week across all my social media platforms. Are there any days with nothing queued up? And which posts are going out on YouTube Shorts? Okay, so I'm going to do something I forgot to mention was the folder in which I'm asking Cowork to in. I'm going to do that in more detail in that video. And here you can ask Cowork to ask you questions before it takes actions, or allow it to act without asking, which I would not recommend. So here, Claude in Cowork is asking me for permission, which I prefer. So I'll say allow for this task. It's going to use Blotato, which is the connector I told you about, to list accounts from there. It now wants to use it to list schedules from there, which is a different task. So it's told me what I have scheduled. You can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4 shorts scheduled, and it's also telling me, look, you've got nothing on 3 empty days. and it's also giving me a breakdown. Now, if I wanted, I could make this into a live dashboard. You can even download this file. You can make it so that this is something that happens often, and I'm going to show you that in a second. It has pulled my actual posts from Blotato and it has looked across YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all of them. And really, this is my real content calendar. All I have scheduled is for YouTube. So I've basically posted to TikTok and I've asked Cowork to repurpose my TikTok to YouTube Shorts. And I've asked it to schedule when it goes out. I've just sat here and I'm giving it a task. It's gone away and it's done. So setting up a connector takes about 2 minutes. You go to settings, you click connectors, and you authorize the apps that you want Cowork to access. Once they're connected, Cowork can pull and push any data to them. In fact, I'll just show you quickly now. So here, if you go into customize, you will see skills and connectors. You will click connectors, and this is a list of all the connectors I have on the web and the ones I have on the desktop. And you can just create one. If you look at the ones that we worked with just now, these are all the permissions that Blotato has allowed Cowork to be able to do. You can browse connectors. So these are all the connectors that Anthropic and their partners have allowed you to connect into Cowork. There's a ton here. Shopify, Slack, Miraboard, you name it, it's probably here. And if it's not here, you can also go back and create one. Directly create your own custom connector, but you would need something a bit more technical to do that. This is actually how I created Blotato. Now Blotato gave us a URL and a name, and we didn't even need this advanced settings, and you just added literally a minute, 1 minute job. So everything I've shown you so far needed you to tell Cobalt what to go and do. Imagine if there are things that it can do without you. So you run it as a schedule and it goes off and it does that. Let me show you. Cowork has a feature called scheduled tasks. You set something up once, tell it when to run, and it executes that automatically. You can pick if it's every day, if it's every week, whatever you choose. So instead of logging into 3 different platforms, for example, every morning to check your numbers or your stats or your email, or like I showed you earlier, my scheduled social media posts, Cowork can do it if you set it up, and it will run it on a schedule without you having to lift a finger. So I'm going to set one up right now so you can see how simple it is. So I come into Cowork and I type this prompt. I've said, create a scheduled task that runs every day at 7 a.m. EST. Check my Blotato account for TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Pull yesterday's stats and update a social media dashboard that includes follower account changes across all 3 platforms, yesterday's post performance, best and worst performing post this week, overall engagement rates trend, and any posts that are significantly outperforming the rest. This is your social media analyst, right? So I'll say go. So it's in my hands here. I'm not doing anything. It's going to go off and it's going to do that. So now it's asking me for permission. So you can use Autopilot. It's another tool that you can use to scrape the stats that I want. Scheduling and posting. It doesn't do analytics. Apify will be able to pull me follower accounts, views, whatever. So I've got Apify already connected. So it's asking me a few questions to get a clear picture. I don't know, I think it's this one. YouTube is this one. Yes, and now for this task. So here it's come back and said to me that it's do a quick test run or what scraper Fry has available to see the actual data before he starts to build the task, which is very clever. So he's using the Apify data and it's saying here, good data is coming back from LinkedIn and take them YouTube and TikTok, 0 from LinkedIn, which is true. I've not posted there. And then it's also said, so I have 827 followers, total videos on TikTok, and on subscribers, YouTube 31. So we'll actually get individual video performance data, which I didn't ask for, but it'd be great. And it's realizing that it needs a YouTube scraper that breaks down stats per video. So this is not a chatbot, it's an LLM that thinks as it's working for you. Now it's found the scraper on Shopify and it says, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Now he has everything. LinkedIn follower account isn't available. That's fine, we'll leave that on there. And it's actually giving me the cost of using Apify. So Apify cost a bit of money. So 4 cents for 10 posts and 1 cent for 10 videos on YouTube and 2 cents for 10 posts on LinkedIn. And then it's asking me, okay, should I schedule it? I'll say yes. And then I'm actually going to run it live. And this is a very good tip for when you create shadow tasks. It's important that you actually run it and give all the permissions it needs so that when it comes to running the show, it doesn't need to ask permissions. You can just run it. Okay. So now if I go over here to my scheduled task, I click on that, it's active. And now I'm going to run it. You can see all the instructions that Cowork itself has created in order to run this task itself. All I did was give instruction in simple English. See, I'm not technical, I won't be able to run it. So it's running it, and I can go back here and see it running. These are other tasks I have that I've paused for several reasons. I'm actually in new task, and this see permissions needed. So now I'll review the permissions and I'll say allow. If I go into that task itself, I should see it return the data. So now you can see that it's actually running the task in parallel and is used the applied integration in this payload file. Here I have its context is this dashboard is building, the coordinator is using, and again, it's saving it in my Cowork folder, which is really important. So I've given it a particular folder that it just, and that's where it's going to save it to. And so you have it, it has created the artifact here, and it's giving me a total list of this week's post from last week, giving me the views. Let me open this wide as you see. So now this, I would have had to go to different apps and start figuring it out, right? If I want to, I can ask Cowork to make sure I can see the column title. For right now, I can't. And I can also ask it to use my branding to do it, and it hasn't done that here, just like annoying. So in my next video, I'm going to create this as a live artifact in more detail. I'm going to use my brand designs. Okay, so stay tuned for that. So that was Cowork in a nutshell. Most people never actually get to this shadow task point. They start with task and think, oh, every time I need something, I'll go ask Cowork. But this is when you take it to the next level. And once you start setting them up, you'll be like, oh my gosh, how did I even get by without these? So to recap, this is what we did. We walked through what Cowork was, we organized some files in my screenshot folders, we created a real beautiful document, we connected tools, and then we went to step 5, which was set some autopilot. And here's the last thing I want you to take away from this. You don't need to be technical. You don't need to understand AI. If you do, it's a bonus. You just need to start with one task. It could be a messy folder. It could be pulling in data from your Shopify store, social media, your email. Like some people have the daily briefs on what they need to do, they need to respond to. Just start with one task, especially something that you've been putting off for so long. Let Cowork handle it, and sometimes you'd have to iterate. Start small, get one win, and then build on from there. Don't let this frighten you. So now that you know how to use Cowork, you're probably wondering what's actually possible when you want to go all in with it. I made a video showing you how I replaced a full marketing agency's worth of work using just Cowork. You can watch it here. I also will be showing you the live artifacts. See you in the next one.